companies where we closely work with them in terms of various activities, which I will take you through once I will go through those slides. So these are the CGSA Governing Council members. If you look at it, L&T, Thermex,
Brine as a browser application.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So,
sorry for interruption. Hello.
Can someone put his mic on mute?
Hello. That's what. Hello. Madam, can you raise your font size of your PPTs? Increase your font size or something.
Madam, please go in the presentation mode so that it becomes bigger.
मेरे को फॉरवर्ड करो.
Is it okay now?
I think it is coming. Yeah. Sometime. Yeah. Now it's okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, sorry for that. If you look at the Governing Council, we have L&T, we have Thermex, we have Gainwell, and Mr. Manav Kohli is already there. BHEL, Siemens, we have Phonic, Festo, Bharat Forge, and then we have associations. If you look at, we have Plastic Manufacturing Association, we have Tool and Golf Manufacturing Association with us, Textile Manufacturing Association, Engineering Sport Promotion Council, and so on and so forth. Currently, our chairman, Mr. Sunil Chaturvedi, he is the CMD of Gainwell Commercials. He also heads the CGSC as a chairman. Now, coming to the subsectors that we focus upon, there are 10 subsectors, out of which we are focusing on majorly 5 subsectors, which is machine tools, power and electrical, textile machinery, process plant machinery, plastic, paper, and rubber machinery. And if you look at all these subsectors, we have all the association working closely with us. They are supporting us, and that's how we work with these subsectors. The geographic presence and the location where major clusters, I'm sure everybody's aware of it. So I will not like to talk more on this. The objectives, the objectives of setting up a capital goods sector skill council was to develop national occupancy standards and develop sector skill development plan, develop quality assurance parameters for assessment and certification. We do a lot of training of trainers, promote academies of excellence for the sector, and we also work on the labor market information, which is skill gap study. We understand the requirement from the industries, bring it to the government, design courses according to the industry need. Can someone put the phone on the mute? There's a lot of noise coming in.
Yes, sir.
So, so these are the basic objectives of setting up Capital Goods Sector Skill Council. These are the various collaborations we work with State Skill Mission, Industry and Academia, which I mentioned earlier also. So we cover almost 24 states across India. We work closely with industry foundations. These are the few foundations we have been working closely with them. And we work with universities, help them in building up courses. And, we do a lot of assessment and provide certification to them. As of now, we have developed 55 qualifications, which is spread of 96 unique national occupational standards have been developed. Now, these 55 qualifications are actually the qualifications which is we take from the industry, the requirements that they have, and build the courses based on their requirements. These 55 qualifications, whatever qualifications we do, they are validated by the industries. the minimum of 30 companies validate their requirement as to what kind of a skill set that they require, and that is how this qualification has been come up. And these all qualifications are aligned to National Skill Qualification Framework, and it is registered in NQR. So Capital Goods basically has been designated as awarding body to certify the skills of individuals by Government of India under GST notification. Here I would also like to mention, because the topic of the discussion is on the health and safety at workplace, all our QP covers minimum 130 hours of training on health and safety at workplace. So this includes 70% practical and 30% of theory, where we give a basic, health and safety to be followed once they get a job, how they can perform on the job. These are the various job roles that we have. If you look at it, we have machining, cutting, fitting, designing, coating, machine installation, commissioning. These are the various occupations on which we have designed these job roles. And we have the minimum educational requirement on this. So, there is a saying that we need an ITI. So we have an ITI minimum qualification. We also have a diploma, but we also have people who are 8th and 10th pass who can come to apply for these job roles, and at various levels. So we have from level 1 to level 5, and then we have high-end technology courses, which starts from level 6 onwards. Now, coming to training centers and training candidates, we have 896 affiliated training centers spread across India, and 90,000 plus trained and certified candidates as on date. So why I'm emphasizing on this is because if industries want to hire a workforce, they can always approach Capital Goods Sector Skill Council. We are spread across India. The training centers which is affiliated run these courses. We assess them, certify them. Once they are trained on that particular qualification, then we can help industries to take them on as a workforce. Just to give a brief breakup of the workforce that we have 39% people who have been certified under fitting and fabrication, which accounts to 23,693 candidates as on date. We have people machining, cutting and welding, then instrumentation, designing, tool and die. So this is a broader breakup of the certified workforce available with us. Coming to the training centers, basically what we are trying to say is that these are the states where, if in case you require local resource, we would be aligning you with our training partners, and then you can pick up the best certified workforce in capital goods sector jobs. So just to run through in terms of what all qualifications we have, these are the names of few occupations and the qualification packs. So these are also available on our website, www.cgsc.in, where you can have a detailed information about these job roles. So we have various job roles under design, soldering, coating, painting, machining. So you can look at the minimum age that these training partners can enroll students in these courses. And machining, again, we have operator, we have setting in a polisher, boring machine, CNC operators. I'll just run a little faster on this. Then we have, these are the education qualification that is mandatory. We have occupation on welding and cutting. So there are various QPs on which, welding job roles are being designed with different levels. So taking forward, since automation and robotics is coming a big way, and this is going to catch up more faster looking at the COVID-19, and people will be more working from home. So we have already commissioned one study on Industry 4.0 way back, and there is a skill committee which we have found. And in this, we have identified around, these are the future job roles proposed by Capital Goods Sector Skill Council. under Industry 4.0. Now, these are the job roles where we have done a lot of workshop with various industries and came out with these job roles which would be required in the industry. So the idea is that we will develop these courses, we'll get it vetted from the industry, and then we will train the candidates in various cities on these job roles. So currently, if you look at the highlighted yellow part of it, the factory automation and robotics engineers is already, we have started working on it, and the qualification is under industry validation. We have process automation and remote diagnostic engineer, and so on and so forth. If you look at the chart, we have 10 job roles which we have identified. The other job role which is currently under industry validation is predictive maintenance engineer. So I look forward for participants who are primarily the industry experts who can help us in giving more inputs, become a technology partner, member of our association, and help us to develop these courses and give their insights as to what kind of a technology and skill set is required at their end. So summing up, CJC and how industries we look forward to work together. We can support you in providing workforce. We can also upskill and reskill your existing employees. So this is through an RPL mode, which is a government initiative. We can recognize, we can give certificates once the upskilling and reskilling is done, which is a government certification. This also includes certain allowances which can be given to the your existing employees of the organization. This will help us, not all the organization, to get a certified candidates, which is perhaps looking where you work as a businesses, you would require some certification where your workforce is already certified. So we do that also. And we also look for knowledge support from the industry in various courses that we develop. If the more insights is given from your side, so that once we come with the courses and the students are trained on these courses, they are employable. So there's another program, apprenticeship. There's a legal act under Apprenticeship Act. So every organization has to enroll certain workforce as apprentice. I'm sure everybody is aware of it. But there is a lot of reforms that has been done under Apprenticeship Act, where the optional trades can also be taken up. Earlier, what used to happen that there was a DGT courses running in which the ITIs were given an opportunity to work. Now there's another program, National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, which is launched by NSDC, and there a lot of reforms have been made in this policy to smoothen out the lengthy processes of trees to hire these apprenticeship. So we look forward for we work as a joint sector skill council, and we look forward for in case you have a requirement of apprenticeship, you can get in touch with us. We can help you to design courses, so you can design your courses as per your requirement. These qualification packs, which is already shown to you, is available. In case you require any apprenticeship, you can approach to us. We can support you in that. We are also into world skills competition. So these are the 5 trades that we work for in skill competitions: CNC turning, CNC milling, plastic die engineering, mechanical CAD, and welding. This is what I spoke about apprenticeship. So if you look at it, anything organization having an employee strength.
It is very much.
Sorry, I can't hear you. So the employee strength, any organization who have more than 30, it becomes mandatory to hire apprenticeship with a range of 2.5% to 15% of workforce every year. So this is what I would talk about. Not taking much of time, I think I'll switch off my presentation, and I'll request Manav Kohli from Gainwell to speak about his experience and the companies, how do they follow safety measures so that it becomes an important topic for all the industries that is present here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shalini, for a detailed outline of the immense effort that the Capital Goods Skill Council is putting in place to deliver, to have the right kind of skills developed for the capital goods industry. Good afternoon to all the participants, presenters, and our colleagues from CGSC. On behalf of Mr. Sunil Chaturvedi, who is the chairman of CGSC, I extend a warm welcome to all the participants and presenters from Stagma, Siemens, and our colleagues from CGSC. Let me start quickly by extending my best wishes and to each one of you in terms of the safety and good health for all the participants in middle of this very difficult scenario that we are going through. That only highlights or underscores the importance of safety in our lives like never before. I'm going to use this opportunity to very quickly share a high-level overview in terms of what has been our experience as a company which has been in for many years in capital goods industry in terms of our safety journey, and what are the very high-level important aspects that I think I could share today. So let me just put up my presentation. And please do let me know if you are able to see this.
Yes.
And you're able to hear me clearly.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Also able to see you.
Fantastic. So once again, my name is Manav Kohli. I'm the Chief Operating Officer leading one of the business units within Gainwell. Without much ado, let me quickly give the participants a context of what my company is about. A very quick overview. We are a 75-year-old company in this business of capital goods, and more specifically, we are representing Caterpillar in north and east of India, Nepal, and Bhutan. Within the Caterpillar range, we are dealing with construction and mining equipment, dealer and solar power, diesel and solar power. We're also into manufacturing of certain equipment in the space of mining, in space of city gas compression and distribution. We also work on projects in railways as well as in defense. So just to give you an idea that all these are capital goods, and we have been involved in the capital goods for very long. We have 108 locations, 1683, almost 1700 people working in this organization, and we are very proud that our organization is a Great Place to Work certified organization. And to support all this large fleet of capital goods across the territory that we have various workshops, service points. So we deal in, heavy things that are handled sometimes in site, sometimes in manufacturing kind of environment. So safety is very, very relevant for us from that perspective, and that's why we took some early steps in our journey towards safety. The other thing which I want to quickly bring in picture about our organization is the immense focus on people, and within the people, the skill development. So to just give you an idea that with all the years of experience that we have several digital platforms, our own in-house digital platforms, which do the skill gap assessment of each employee, and we have online courses as well as on the iron, as we call it, or on the job training programs designed for each employee. Not only that, every year we also train many operators through our CSR activity in terms of skill development, because all these equipment need specialized operators, and there's a dearth of such people. And so therefore, through our CSR effort, we recruit people or youngsters absolutely out of school, and then we take them through this training program free of cost. And as soon as they come out of this training program, they are highly employable in our specific area of working. So a few things that I wanted to show.
क्योंकि तुरंत वो लोग फोन करेगा, वो लोग ये लोग है।
So let me just then move
ऑपरेशनल
forward
में
and
है,
to
और देन वो
Hello,
देखा नहीं रहेगा।
others I would request please keep their mic on mute.
Thank you for that. So let me just quickly talk about how we have undertaken our journey towards zero incident injuries and fatalities, which is the broad objectives of any safety program. And it's a tall task in the kind of context that we are working, but we are at it. And these are some of the, sorry. Right. So the first of the few points that I want to bring to your attention is, that the commitment for safety really starts at the highest level. It's almost a cultural aspect of an organization, and therefore, a few things that I would want to read out of the messages from within the organization, which will give you a flavor of the commitment of the chairman, Mr. Sunil Chaturvedi, towards safety. We at Gainwell believe in nothing is more important than making sure that every day each one of us returns home safely. So this is a common safety credo that we follow in conjunction with actually Caterpillar, where we say safely home everyone every day. It's something which appeals to a lot of people, and so I thought I must share. At Gainwell, safety is not just have to, so it's not a compliance, but it is want to. So it's a thing that we want to do because we feel it is important and it's necessary. The most critical resource, as the most critical resource, we are steadfast in our commitment to safeguard our employees. So employees are at the center. The people aspect is at the center of our safety effort. Safety initiatives relies on visible involvement of entire management chain. So, this talks about the demonstrable, the involvement of people, and Vision Zero Safety, Zero on Safety has been our key priority, and I urge you fully to embrace safety of the initiative. So that's the message, for all employees in our organization from the chairman. The second very important aspect, in our journey, which we undertook, was to create the right organization and the processes for safety. And we started again right at the top, at the highest level, by creating a safety councils of all the business leaders, which are direct reportees to the chairman. We brought in a domain expert, a safety officer or head of safety, Mr. Shibu Varghese, who's also joined this conference today, so that we have the right domain and expertise in driving this process. So that's the importance that we wanted to give. We appointed safety champions because we are a multi-location organization. And then all the experts as well as the senior people sat together and worked out in detail, and sometimes with help of some external organizations, detailed policy as well as the SOP. So we came out with our EHS manual, which has detailed identification of work situations, the PPE requirement and the safety aspects that need to be taken care of and how that needs to be measured and monitored. We carried out the cultural aspect, which is the safety perception survey for the senior management as well as our employees, to really see how well we are all attuned to the aspect of safety and how important we find it in our day-to-day lives as individuals. And then we worked plans and our communication plans, which I'll talk about, based on what we heard our management and employees talking about. Last but not the least, with all the specific and export support that we had, we defined the metric and glide path for our metric, in terms of going forward on our safety journey. The next of the four aspects that I wanted to talk about is the aspect of actually deploying the safety, and not just, and it's not just what we do it, how we did it is something which I feel good about. So we went through the typical technical assessment of the PPE installation of safety equipment at workplace displays, which is very well known. But at the same time, we worked out a very intense program of specialized and customized training of people, along with the mock drills, and we focused on all aspects, including the first aid, CPR. So every time we get together in a meeting, we actually make a check in terms of how many CPR trained people are there, and what are the aspects of safety hazards which are there around us, and who are the key coordinators and contact points in every meeting that we do together. So that is how important we set the SOPs and deployed the SOPs. And then intense internal communication program in terms of articles and success stories on our safety practices. The last and the most important thing, having done that, is because it's not a one-time exercise of deployment. It needs constant monitoring, reporting, reviewing, reinforcement, and recognition. And that's how you sustain a culture of safety. So that's the next learning that we had from our journey in safety. So the KPIs, such as near miss, RIF, lost time, etc., were built into safety metric and the KPIs of each business unit. It is mandatory within our organization that on monthly basis, safety data is reported by each region, and the regional heads are responsible for that. There are monthly safety meetings which are chaired or steered by Shibu, who's the safety head, and he then gets into the dialogue in terms of elimination of any hazards, risks, or anything coming out of the reports on an urgent basis. Safety is the first thing that we review in terms of our Apex business review, which we do on every month. Before we review our business, we review the safety metrics. And then we go all out to reinforce in our communication and recognize good performance of our people in terms of the safety, the teams who do well in terms of safety. And in this journey, we have received several recognitions from organizations which are very serious about safety, such as Tata Steel, Hindustan Zinc, in terms of our very specific safety focus and performance at site. And they have really found many best practices from our teams, and they have awarded our teams. So that's an external validation that we have received several times from various reputed organizations. Just to round up what I wanted to share today, because the experts would certainly come in and speak, but I'm sharing a more layman's perspective or a general high-level perspective. Creating a culture of safety is a change process. Conviction and commitment for safety comes from the top. Safety is a priority because we care. So caring is one of our core values, and therefore we say we want safety because we care for our employees, our stakeholders. It's a journey of continuous improvement. So there are no shortcuts to getting safety, and there is always shifting goals on safety and environment, which we need to keep working towards. And it takes time and diligent effort, but it pays to stay safe. And I think I can't highlight it more than in current environment, when we have seen how safety has become the most important factor today, even beyond the economic activity for a while when we are threatened. So I'm sure we all realize this much more than ever before. Thank you very much for your attention and time. And I look forward to a very fruitful session from Siemens and other interaction with the participants.
Thank you, Manav. Thanks for a brief presentation and wonderful slides shown to us. Now I request Mr. Rohan Kadle to say a few words, and post that Mr. Davis can take this forward in terms of what C-Trust is all about. Over to Mr. Rohan Kadle.
Thank you, Shalini, and thank you for a wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, colleagues from TAGMA. I'll basically focus on C-Trust and explain to you what is C-Trust about. C-Trust is a part of our corporate EHS team, which is responsible for safety training. C-Trust has been created to inspire a zero-harm culture through skill development in occupational safety. Our vision in C-Trust is to develop into a global brand for acquiring competency and excellence in occupational safety. We believe that our passion, hard work, agility will help SeaTrust enable our company, our vendors, our customers, students in educational institutions, apprentices, and many stakeholders to embrace the zero harm culture that we are so passionately propagating. The way forward for SeaTrust is to establish high quality standard operating procedures, develop customized training content, effectively adopt and adapt digitalization, which is the norm of the day, continue to be a facilitator in integrating safety into our business, improve contractor safety adherence, and be an efficient business enabler. With this small introduction of SeaTrust, I now hand over the baton to my colleague, Mr. Davis, who will take it forward. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rohan, for the wonderful introduction and also a brief about SeaTrust. So my screen, is it visible? Can I check the audio and also slides?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Davis, you are visible and the audio is quite clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
I once again request the participants to please switch off your video and switch off your audio, because Mr. Davis' presentation has a lot of films inside and we will not be able to see the films if your video is on.
So good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Shalini ma'am, Chief Operating Officer, CGSC, and Mr. Manav Kohli, Chief Operating Officer, Gamewell, and Mr. Paresh Panjal, TAGMA Executive Council member, and distinguished delegates and guests. I would like to thank everybody for TAGMA for giving this opportunity for us, for me to be here and able to share with you one of the closest topic, which is safety at workplace. When I'm saying this, it's close to my heart because I spent more than 35 years in industry, and for last 5 years I have moved into safety and safety trainings. It's only because of my passion. So thank you very much. And I was also quite happy to see Mr. Manav and of course Ms. Shalini, the way they presented about safety. So my half job is already done. The way Mr. Manav was talking about construction safety, it was a great experience for me, and then more or less, yes, we also do follow and we do have similar safety management system in Siemens India as well as in Siemens Germany globally. So moving forward, so we are also into, yes, all the verticals, right from mining and power and pharmaceutical, automotive. You take any vertical, one way or other, Siemens is also a partner in this area. And of course, the safety become one of the key pillar. And we have a very clear mandate from our global, our parent company, Siemens Germany. If we are not safe, you can't, we are not allowed to work. So that's a very, very strong message from our top management. Now, I would like to welcome all of you to the SeaTrust, our topic for the day today. So we had a plan to bring all of you to, rather welcome all of you physically over our SeaTrust training center. But unfortunately, yes, because of the COVID situation and lockdown, we could not do that. But then we have tried to bring you virtually over here. So let me play a video what we do in SeaTrust.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Actually, we are unable to see your PPT.
Unable to see the PPT?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I have to share it over.
Yes, sir.
I'll do that. Give me 1 minute. But you are, I'm audible, correct?
Yeah, you're audible. You can see your video as well, but you can see your screen.
Okay, I'll just share it once again. So it should be okay. Now you are able to see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see now.
Okay. Thank you, Akshay, for the feedback. Yeah. So we are into our training center, CTRUST, Siemens Global Skills Center for Occupational Safety. I'll play a 1-minute video which will give a complete idea, a brief idea about what is the setup we have it in Siemens Kalwa for CTRUST.
Welcome to CTRUST, the Siemens Global Skills Center for Occupational Safety. The center is located at Aroli, Thane Belapur Road, Navi Mumbai. Siemens is offering practical-based safety training to suit the requirements of industries in areas of work at height, electrical safety, confined space, scaffolding, excavation, manual and mechanical material handling, earth moving equipments, safety during hot work, firefighting and evacuation, lockout, tagout process, and first aid. Our main focus is on hazards identification, risk assessment, and development of safe work method statement for safe working during unsafe conditions. We'll be happy to welcome you at our safety park, Aroli, Navi Mumbai. Thank
Yeah, so moving forward, you have seen that our training center. So we do have exclusive safety park associated with the training center. So moving forward, I will explain you further. Now to give a brief history of CTRUST, why Siemens has set up a training center, a unique training program, which is based on global best practices adapted to Indian conditions. Way back in 2011 to 2013, if I recollect, I was into project management during that course of time, and we had a very tough time in India as well as in Siemens, having come across many safety violations. So we have been literally working on this, how to address this challenge. Then we came out, of course, we also associated with Siemens AG, Germany. So they also came forward and made it very clear, if you are not able to work in a safe environment, we will have to think of closing down that particular business unit. So that was a real instruction came from our top management in Germany and also in India. So what are the solutions? The solution was not easy to close down any business. Yes, all of you know that it is not the right solution. Then Siemens Germany came forward, and then they literally visited all of our project sites and our factory, all the factories, interviewed the people, and also went through the observations and the violations or what are things happening. Finally, when we deep dive into the case studies, we find that yes, people have willingness to change, to work safely. That was not an issue because we also do have a zero harm culture in Siemens. The issue was, even if you want to be safe, you are not, because it is found that the competency level, the skill level, what you need is, there is a gap. Now, how do we do this? We have been sending people for trainings to various institutes, but then we find that the takeaway or the learning what they bring in was exactly not matching with the industry requirement or the areas where we are operating. So finally, it has been decided by Siemens Germany and Siemens India management that we need to have a unique training center with our own people, the people core people who are into the business and also project management and also people with experience from the field to be part of this, and then we started developing it. Now, yeah, the 2013 the idea came up to set up. Then finally, yes, moved into in 2015 we have launched the, we constructed a safety park along with a separate unique training center. And today we are in 2020. I'm proud to say that we do have come to a maturity level in trainings. Now, when we have come to this as a safety, as all of you know, that there is no boundary. So when you also initially it was planned for Siemens employees, and then we found that no, only by doing training to Siemens employees, safety of our entire organization or the area where you're working, whether it's a project size or a factory, it's not possible. So we extended this to our contractors and vendors. Then we find that no, when you are working in a power plant, there are multiple agencies, and also customer is also play a crucial role there. So we also then customers also come into picture. Now customers trainings are even imparted to customers and subcontractors. So we have come a long way. So we do have on-site training conducted at site, and we do have online trainings, and of course customization, because we do work in all the verticals. We do have the expertise. So that is for us, we are able to customize as per the requirement. Now, moving forward, I would like to play a video which shows how and what we do our training in our training center. When I'm saying it is a unique training center, a training concept, once you see this video, I hope you will appreciate. Now, I do understand many of the people, many of the delegates who are attending this webinar may not be from electrical background. That's fine. So let us look this video. You can look from a perspective of a job, how it's being done. So don't look at, I'm only showing a 11 kV panel, but don't bother about it. You look from a other aspect of it, how the safety is integrated. Now looking at this, yes, let me play this video. So in this video, we are also trying to not only addressing the core engineering issue with the 11 kV switchboard, we are also trying to address how a permit to work is to be obtained, how effectively a toolbox talks to be conducted, or a safety, a pet talk to be conducted, and what is the importance of it. So people who are not from electrical, I would look forward for you to look from that perspective of safety management.
I am Davis, your trainer for the day.
I am Ramanathan, Head Supervisor, Electrical Unit 1.
I am Manish, Senior Technician of Switchboard.
I am Ajay, Assistant Technician of Switchboard.
This switchboard is 8BK80 11 kV panel, which has got all the safety features, but in actual condition, if you are not applying all the safety interlocks or the lotos in right place, this accident can happen. Okay, so the task here is to clean the circuit breaker compartment. For cleaning the circuit breaker compartment, when the brake is in service, please tell what you need to do.
So for cleaning the circuit breaker compartment, we have to remove the breaker from service position to test position, and then we have to remove the breaker from test position to completely outside the,
because somebody has to go inside and clean
the compartment.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
So you have taken the permit to work, you have done the toolbox talks. Now we are doing it, and of course you have worn all the R-flat suit and all the PPEs required. So please do it.
Manish, please remove the breaker outside the compartment.
Using the double pit key, he is opening the lock. Now please watch when the breaker moves from service position to test position. what happens? Because this side bus bar is totally charged up to here. Then now he is removing the breaker from service to test position. You can see there will be a movement of shutter happening for the safety purpose. Yes, breaker has come out. Yes, now it is moving to the final test position. Yes, you can see the contacts. Now the shutter getting closed. Now what do you need to do? Can you start the job?
No, sir, we can't start the job right now. We have to remove the breaker outside the compartment.
Okay. So he is switching off the control supply?
Yes, he is switching off the
Okay.
compressor.
After coming to test position, very good.
Yes.
Okay.
Now he have to open the door and remove the PCB.
Okay.
So Manish, be careful while removing the breaker out.
Okay, now he's taking out the breaker from test position to accelerated position.
Yes.
And now what is the job to be done?
The job is to clean the compartments.
Okay, Manish, what are you going to do now? You get the thing clean. Permit is taken. Toolbox talks is done. Yes, now you have to get the job done.
Ajay, please come here. Clean it, please.
Hello, hello, hello. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you opening the shutter?
Now it is
Where is your supervisor? Where is your supervisor? Please come out of the panel. Manish, where were you?
What happened, sir?
Explain what happened. He opened the shutter. The bus bar is on.
Oh.
What instruction you have given to him?
Person is cleaning inside and is opening the shutter and is opening the phone. What instruction you have given to him? Only clean it. Inside.
Cleaning of the chamber,
Yes.
but then have you put the lotto here, a preventive measure?
No.
Why? Now, there could have been
Yes,
a
sir.
serious accident because he was cleaning here, he was getting a mobile call, he was using the mobile and opened the shutter and cleaning inside where there is a live 11 kV power supply. What could have been done to prevent this? You have to put a lotto on the shutter. So please do it.
Manish, please apply the lotto.
Now he is applying the lotto for the shutter.
This is for incomer.
Incomer side, yes.
And now he is applying for the outgoing side.
So both these shutters have been locked now. You cannot open this. Okay? So this is the control what is required. Now let's check it whether it's working. Please come in for cleaning and try to open it. Yes, it's not opening because he cannot access to this. So very important. Again, I repeat, accidents can happen because of this. They are small negligence.
Yeah, thank you, friends. I think all of you would have watched the video clearly. Whatever you see in this video, this is the way we do our training in our training center. And now, as far as the digitalization is concerned, yes, we have many videos recorded like this. And yes, this is being used in our digital platform. So we are ready and we have already started doing the digital platform trainings. Now, if you look from this video, many of you are from mechanical background. So this entire panel, the switchboard, what you have seen, I would say 95% of components are from mechanical, and all of them are made by CNC machines or hydraulic press or pneumatic press or your bus bar cutting machines, drilling machines. So what I wanted to say, any manufacturing unit, which these panels are made in Kalwa, Siemens Kalwa, where we do have many machines. And if you look at even the electrical panel, what you have seen, entire movement, I would say the safety of the panel is perfect. I mean, it is more of a mechanical alignment or the way you do it. So we are very much there in the manufacturing safety industry. That's what I just wanted to mention over here. So moving forward, besides this, when we do our trainings, we also focuses on safe work method statement. What does it mean? You are supposed to have a method statement for every job that you have. So what are the elements you need to take care in the safe work method statement? Safe work method statement is nothing but you are identifying your hazard and risk and integrating with the safe method statement. So which are the elements you take care of? Yes, manpower, machines, materials, method of work. We call it the 4M in Siemens. And of course, administrative controls like permit to work and toolbox stocks. So this is the way we do our training. So it is a 360-degree approach, what we try to do. And we, so in the next time when you have an opportunity, you are, of course, after lockdown, you are welcome to SeaTrust. Now, the journey so far, we have trained more than 6,000 plus professionals. We do have trained external professionals, customers, and our partners, 2,000 professionals. And we do have a customer base of 50 external industry customers. Now, the uniqueness of our training, I think you have already gone through the video, so I am not going to explain more on that. And the question answer session, yes, you can ask the question. We will try to answer the points. So, but then of course the practical approach, hands-on approach, the in-house videos, and of course internationally certified trainers. I am one among them. I have been got trained 5 years back in Germany for this training. So my background is from installation, commissioning, project management. In spite of all this core business or the project management or the manufacturing background, I have been trained in Germany for the training. So I'm thankful for Siemens, and then it is a great opportunity I had. And then of course customers training, customized training, and you give any situation, we are able to make a customized training because we do have database, we do have videos, we do have situations, we do have case studies, we have hazard ducts. We call it a hazard duct where we created n number of hazards and then mitigation measures. So what are all we do? Mainly we focus on occupational safety, electrical safety, manufacturing safety, which covers machine safety, material handling, infrastructure, and of course plant maintenance. That's also one area where we are focusing because we do have departments work in the plant maintenance within Siemens and also outside. Moving forward, yes, I think Mr. Kohli had clearly explained. So we are also present in all the states in India. We have 22 factories, more than 300 project sites, small, medium and large, including power plants and transmission lines. And we do have 30 office locations. And I fully agree with Mr. Manav Kohli. The challenge is to create a low risk environment in a very high risk external environment. Let us accept the fact we are in India, we do have a very high risk external environment. So that's and we cannot just wish away saying that no, that's fine. I mean, we have to create a low risk environment. That's a challenge each one of us has to take care. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the zero harm culture because zero incident, Mr. Manav Kohli has went into detail. So we do have the same principle, zero harm culture in Siemens, and it's a global principle, which is a mandatory requirement for all our companies across the globe. So I'm not getting more into this. So it is more of more than the rules and regulations, how one do commit himself. It's like a COVID situation today. If you wanted to be safe, you need to also ensure that other person is also safe. So that is the responsibility. We take care of each other. It's a message comes in our zero harm culture. Now moving forward, why safety? Yes, everybody knows why do we need safety. First and foremost thing, yes, human suffering. There is no compromise on this. But if you moving forward, you'll see that safety has a role to play in quality, reputation, productivity, cost, and all the things. Now you will find one circle is missing here. Anybody guess which circle it is? I am coming to this legal compliance. Why legal compliance is important? Because particularly in if you wanted to operate in a globally, also in Indian environment, yes, we have to be legally compliant from the labor aspect. In case you come across a safety violation or a safety incident or a accident, let us say. Now I'll take you through one of our video, Siemens video, where the character is John D. He is a mechanical engineering company owner. I believe that some of the company owners are also attending this session. So let's see how John D come across an accident. And I recollect a case because I do also part of many investigations within Siemens and also outside. One of the incident when we had a works manager, I met him after the investigation, everything is concluded, had a one-to-one chat. I felt so bad about him. He said, I'm fine with all the thing, whatever happened, because I know that I am responsible for this. I'm having a guilty feeling. But only the one thing which he has shared with me said that humiliation, what he has gone through in the last 3 months. He says, wherever I go and I want to explain this accident to my boss or to colleague or the worker or the management team or in a global forum in Siemens, Germany, he says that always I have a guilty feeling that, yes, that's humiliation cost is too much. So let's see how John D has handled this. And also this video covers more about risk assessment. So first part we will be talking about how an accident and what are the legal implications of it. So here we talk about mainly the machine safety.
Davis sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Cannot hear the audio.
You can hear the audio?
Yeah.
Okay. So give me 1 minute. Just.
Sure.
Just confirm to me if you are getting the audio.
One morning, John D's doorbell rang.
Say you're getting?
It
Yes,
was
sir.
the public prosecutor, along with the police. One morning, John D's doorbell rang. It was the public prosecutor, along with the police. John D hadn't cheated anyone. He hadn't evaded paying taxes, and he hadn't robbed a bank. John D is the owner of a mechanical engineering company, and he had designed, manufactured, and sold a machine. This machine. A machine that wasn't safe, and that didn't have a CE marking. While working with this machine, Peter K had seriously injured himself. So the public prosecutor shut down the machine in Peter K's company for the time being. No production, no turnover, no profit. And last but not least, a lifelong physical handicap for Peter K. Peter K and his boss have sued John D. for compensation for the severe injury and for damages for the financial loss. The case made it into the headlines. The consequences? Loss of reputation, loss of customers, slump in sales. The case of John D. In no way an isolated case. Every year, approximately 270 million people worldwide suffer serious injuries due to faulty machinery, machines like those of John D. So that you can avoid the dangers to life and limb of your employees, Siemens helps you to make machines safe. In the next minutes, with an animated overview of the necessary measures, and after that, with experts who will pass on their knowledge in workshops and consulting sessions. For with solid knowledge and appropriate measures, you can achieve significant benefits and beyond that, show corporate responsibility for your employees. All necessary measures are derived from legally binding provisions. For machines that are introduced in the internal European market, the Machinery Directive 2006/42/EC applies. This Machinery Directive describes the requirements on the design and construction of safe machines. Only if you can prove that your machine fulfills the requirements of the Machinery Directive are you allowed to affix the CE marking and deliver the machine to your customer. The entire process towards a safe machine consists of 3 phases: the risk assessment, the risk reduction, and the proof. One morning, the 3-level first identify risk assessment phase.
Yeah, so friends, we have now seen what are the legal requirements. Now, as per the legal requirements, if you come across an accident of the machine what you are supplying, or it can be also the an incident, safety violation happens inside your factory, and if you have to undergo all this, all the prosecutions, you have seen the video, I think it is self-explanatory. Now, what is the requirement? How to prevent it? The challenge is to prevent accidents. So it is very clear in the standards, either European Union standards or the ISO, which you are going to adopt for the machine safety. I think it is going to adopted any time from now. So the risk assessment, that is one of the most important things. So here we have seen 3 elements. And how do you assess the risk? First, you identify the risk, reduce the risk, and then the residual risk has to be acceptable to you. Not only that, you also need to document that. So then it becomes a package of the machine safety. So let's continue to watch this.
In this phase, you identify and evaluate all hazards originating from the machine. First, systematically identify all reasonably foreseeable hazards that can originate from this machine. For example, the severing or crushing of limbs. Consider all phases of the machine's life, such as commissioning or maintenance, and also all operating modes, for example, setup or automatic mode. Then assess the risk, that is the sum of the probability and the extent of the potential injuries. The result of your assessment is the original risk of the hazards. You have to reduce this original risk to an acceptable residual risk through suitable measures. You accomplish this in the risk reduction phase. To reduce the risk, use the 3-level method according to ISO 12100. With this method, the safe mechanical design of the machine is the #1 priority. For the machine used in our example, this means an enclosure with a sliding door is to protect the operator from injury. But since the operator can open the sliding door without the machine coming to a standstill, the current residual risk is not yet acceptable. If the construction doesn't lead to an acceptable residual risk, you must, according to the three-level method, define additional technical measures in the team. For our machine, the installation of a safety position switch for door monitoring would be such a technical measure. In conjunction with a safe evaluation unit and 2 actuators, opening the sliding door then leads to the machine coming to a standstill. With an additional emergency stop commanding device, the operator can also switch off the machine in the event of danger. The assessment by the team shows that these 2 safety functions reduce the original risk to an acceptable residual risk. According to the 3-level method, no further measures are necessary in this case.
Yeah, so here we find that there are 3 steps. First is yes, safe mechanical design. Design itself you need to take care. It's not that machine you manufacture and then you take, because that is not possible for it to incorporate all the safety features. Safety interlocks also meet the standards. So once you do that in the design, yes, then you also need to incorporate engineering controls, so technical measures. Of course, at the end, you need to see the residual risk. And if you are satisfied with that, yes, that's the end of it. But then, of course, you need to also have the documentation proof along with the machines. Let's continue to watch.
Siemens nevertheless recommends that you provide supplemental user information about the remaining residual risks. For the example machine, there are 2 residual risks. Hot workpieces can lead to burns. Loose swarf can penetrate the skin. With a mandatory sign affixed to the machine, you should point out to all users their obligation to wear protective gloves. Now determine, depending on the original risk, a certain safety level. You can apply 2 different standards. The ISO 13849 Part 1 standard defines the performance level PL in the gradations A to E. On the other hand, the IEC 62061 standard uses the term Safety Integrity Level, short SIL 1, SIL 2, and SIL 3. Here to clarify is a graphic comparison of the 2 levels in 4 different risk categories. For the safety door on our machine, the performance level PLD, or the safety integrity level SIL 2, is determined. In keeping with the safety level, select the technical components with which you can implement your safety functions. For this, Siemens offers a broad portfolio of certified sensors, evaluation units, and actuators. Now check whether the safety functions that you have developed fulfill the requirements of the risk assessment. The Siemens Safety Evaluation Tool is there to help you. With this free tool, you can check whether your safety functions actually achieve the determined safety level. At www.siemens.com Safety Evaluation Tool. You will find all information about this TÜV certified online tool. Now let's get back to the 3 process phases. After the risk assessment and risk reduction phases, the proof phase begins. In this phase, you check and document all measures and results and declare conformity to the Machinery Directive 2006-42-EC. One part of this 3rd phase is the validation. The validation must provide proof that all requirements on machine safety are fulfilled. For this, you verify with the help of analysis and tests that all safety specifications are fulfilled. You must clearly document the results of the validation and also all other steps in the risk assessment and risk reduction phases. Use the provisions of the Machinery Directive as a guide for the documentation. Finally, fill out a certificate of conformity that is also a mandatory part of the Machinery Directive. You will later include this certificate of conformity with every delivered machine. And with that, you have reached your goal and may affix the CE marking to your machine. If you would like to learn more about CE marking and machine safety, Siemens provides different support. For example, extensive safety workshops, competent consulting when preparing your own risk analysis, diverse safety application examples on the internet, or fast on-site service. Siemens, the fast and easy way to a safe machine.
Thank you. I think thank you for watching. What are the messages from this? What are the takeaway from this video? This is a Siemens own video. You find to make an assessment or a machine manufacturer has to go all through. Do we have required skill set available in the industry? Do we get people from our ITIs, engineering colleges or polytechnics, diploma? Are they industry ready? So I think it become all the more important to fill the gap, to make the people industry ready. And also the people who are already into the industry, are they capable of doing all this risk assessment? Let us see what is the skill required in a risk assessment. I'll just show you a picture here. The risk control, you provide a barrier, but are you able to assess the risk and give the barrier? Let's see this.
Mr. Davis, we can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Okay, sorry, then I have to again connect. There is some system issue, but you are able to see the video?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. I have to again get connected.
No video.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's also visible. The screen is also visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So if I missed what I have told, see the risk assessment, you have seen the video, what is the importance of risk assessment, but then you need a competency for making this assessment. So let's see a small experience here.
Hello, sir. Video is not visible, sir.
Yeah, now it will be visible. Have you seen? Akshay?
No, sir, not yet.
Yes.
So those who are not able to see from my side, my colleague is confirming he is able to see it. So hopefully there should be some networking issue at your end. Akshay, you are able to see, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so moving forward, what you see in this here, you need a skill to assess the risk. That's the message, simple message. So you, in this case, the gentleman has given the barrier, but it was not effective. So that was so skill development become very important, and CTRUST is of course working, and I see a lot of opportunity working with CGSC and TAGMA in this aspect. Now, yes, when Mr. Kohli was talking about the value chain, yeah, this is the value chain where you see the safety from the leadership to the last man on the pyramid or the chain has to be involved. Now, if you have a weak link anywhere in this chain, your safety gets compromised. So each and every one of you in your organization or a company or whichever position you are, it is for your responsibility to identify which is a weak link you have. In Siemens, let me be very open with you. We have come across issues with our vendors and contractors. So that's why we do have exclusive program, training program for even contractors, even for supply chain management. So that's a message. Now let's come back to what we do in Citrus. We do have trainings offered on electrical safety, occupational safety, and manufacturing safety. And these are the three pillars. On this we have sub-modules, basic level, advanced level, and if you take a manufacturing safety for that matter, you find we have mission safety module, we have material handling safety, and also we have infrastructure. And then I'm not getting more again into what the uniqueness of our program, because you have seen the videos what we have created. We have many more videos, but because of the time not available, and we will further engage with you at later date. So and also one point which I wanted to mention here, we are equipped to handle any training on your place. So if anybody wants to have a customized training, whether it's online or at site, we are capable of delivering it. Of course, we take input from you and work jointly in the program. Now, looking back to electrical, yes, I'm not getting more into detail because we are an electrical and electronics company. We do have I would say from generation. So it's from source to socket, we call it. So if you call a power station then to a socket in your building or to your home, so we are there. Siemens is everywhere. So we do have competent training, and also you may think, okay, Siemens is a big, large organization having electrical, so we will be talking about something on very high voltage and things like. No, we will come down to your shop floor level. We come to your double pole structure and your LT panel and then your construction DB, or even to power tools, and then even a small DBs or whatever. In the mission area also we will come, and then we will see that whether it's following IEC rules, IEC regulations and all. So we are, I can assure you, we can definitely give deliver this training. Now coming to manufacturing safety a little more, because you are all coming from manufacturing sector mainly. So we do have machine safety, infrastructure safety, and material handling, as I told you. So what we do when you do a manufacturing safety training, yes, all of us follow the same flow of material, the raw material, then storage. You have material shifting, processing. Yes, this is a machine safety and tool. Then finished goods, and then packing and dispatch. So we do have programs on each, particularly on this machine safety, material handling, machine and material handling. Now coming back to occupational safety, yes, we do have extensive programs on this, covering work at height, confined space, scaffolds, PPEs. Yes, PPEs we call in our training. Yes, this is the last line of defense, but we find many of the people still not cross that defense. So that's also a challenge for us in India, particularly. Now we also do have program customized for our subcontractors, because this is the one area I hope all of you also must be facing, because you will have some labor supply contractor or people who are giving manpower to you. So also we do have program for commercial project managers, even for the commercials, even for the leadership team, because all of them need to be involved. We have seen the value chain, so we do have extensive program for even this group also. Now just to sum up, we are already into digital platform. That's the advantage we have being in Siemens. We already have right from registration, assessment, and certification. So entire process is digitalized, and we are also equipped to do practical as well as videos. We do have a number of videos, in-house Siemens videos, training program when you contact, how you contact. So that's also there. So we can all use these videos, and when you are doing the digital platform training. So this is what I would like to share. Now, just to summarize, yes, we do have esteemed customers. who also support us, and we also support them in the zero harm culture or zero incident zero incident culture. Now, these are some of the customers. I know that some of you who are in the webinar is also part of these, some of the teams. Now, just to just to show you some of the testimonials what we have from SeaTrust. This being a unit training program, you may be wondering, how do I get a training from SeaTrust? But I can tell you, if you look at this slide, we are right from Vedanta. Yes, there's a Hindustan Zinc mining. We got a appreciation letter, and also we do have yes, National Safety Council. We do have, of course, NTPC, one of the largest power plant, yes, utilities. And then we have IMA through Udaipur Chamber of Commerce. We also have it Bombay Chamber of Commerce, where we have a lot of members. A part of it, they are already partnering with us. And the last one, we conducted a training in Godrej Pondicherry for consumer products division. Now, this was the last one. We did it in first week of March. Yes, I was personally there, and they were very more than happy to appreciate us. So what I wanted to say, right from any sector given, and with our rich experience or exposure to all these areas, we are in a position to customize any of the requirement with, of course, support from you. So with this, I think come to the end of the my presentation. Now over to Ms. Shalini Singh for the question answer session, and then we can take it forward. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Davis, for a wonderful presentation and giving an insight about SeaTrust. And the object of, I think, this workshop was to collect a valuable feedback from all the participants, and so that in order to chart out a tailor-made program or maybe customize a program on the safety workshops in future. So what I understand is perhaps, SeaTrust can offer customized workshops. We can have a standard workshops, which is already there. There's a digital workshops that can also be organized, and on-site workshops that can be organized. And there is also a provision of assessment and certification. Correct me if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's right. We do have existing online registration to the certification. So we are already equipped with Do It, not because of the COVID situation we have created it. We had it already in place.
Okay, so if let's say somebody wants to have a some workshop, they can get it through the digital platform. How the practical things will be taught through this platform.
Yeah. So if you have, I hope you appreciate the videos what we have in our in-house videos. It is not the videos which you have got it from outside. It's all Siemens videos. So many of our training session itself is recorded in a video. We have seen one of the video. So where we do play the video, we explain the video. Okay, when you have more time to explain in a 1 day or 2 day workshop, we can go extensively into the video, and we have extensive long videos. So we can use that, and also virtual reality. So we have a lot of materials available with us for doing it. I hope like MS team, what we are doing today, we can conduct programs, and also we are coming up with a totally a digitalized training program where maybe the trainer will not interact with the participant. That is also, I think Mr. Rohan can give something more on this.
Sure. Madam, we are already on the digital platform. Just now, Mr. Davis has shown how a program can be conducted on the digital platform. But other than this, we are also going on an e-learning platform, wherein it will not be an entire course, but there will be small modules. For example, transformer safety or arc flash or machine guarding. We are thinking of putting around 50 to 55 topics on the digital platform, wherein the trainer will not be a part of the program, but the voice of the trainer, the recording will be there. There'll be films, there'll be PowerPoint presentations. The learner can log into the program, undertake the program, complete the program, and will be certified by Siemens. But here in such programs, which we are going to call e-learning modules, the trainer interaction will not be there. The second type of programs is what we've seen right now. The trainer would be there It will be a 2-day or a 3-day program depending on the topic, conducted on the digital platform where you can interact with the trainer. The practical part, of course, will be covered by films. The third type of training is, of course, when the things get normal, people can visit the SeaTrust Safety Park and you can have a hands-on experience. That is the best part of it. Fourthly, if there's a big group, rather than 15 people coming to Siemens, we do not mind sending our trainers to the site and having a customized program specifically for the topic at the site.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I would not take much of time because we're running short of time. I would request organizations to put up questions. I can see one question from Mr. Chandrasekhar. He on messages where he has asked, what is the minimum NRR hearing protection for a typical arc flash PPE? Can this question be answered by?
Can you repeat the question again?
Mr. Chandrasekhar is asking, what is the minimum NRR hearing protection for a typical arc flash PPE?
Yeah, so thank you for asking this question, Mr. Chandrasekhar. It's a good question. Here I would like to mention one thing. When you have an arc flash done, we have to do an arc flash study of your equipment. Because what we normally do it, we have LT panels, we do have ST panels, we have EHV panels. So people think that, okay, 8 kilocalorie per centimeter square, so that's a PPE, and also hearing protection with a decibel. But it's not that easy. If you get into an arc flash, we do have a program for arc flash study. So if you attend that, you will come to know the intricacy of getting into. So this answer is not digital. I cannot just tell you that, but it needs a complete study. What is your short circuit level? What is your energy level released? Incident energy release at that point of time. So what could be the decibel generated at that point of time? So and the arc intensity is all decided by percentage of impedance, the short circuit. So it's a big topic. So what I wanted to say, yes, it is a very good question, but answering at this forum will not be a right forum. So you can, yes, you have to get into electrical training program for this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. There is another question from Mr. Nirvesh Srivastava. He's asking, is there any customized cost-effective program for small and medium enterprises as well?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. We do have these programs. As I'm mentioning to Bombay Chamber of Commerce in Bombay, we do partner with them, and we do already have a memorandum of understanding with them. So they do send their members to us. So what do you find Thane Belapur Road or all across Maharashtra, there are many members, and most of them are from MSME sector. So we do customize the program for the members, and it is well appreciated. Also, yes, I have shown you the testimonials from BCCI, and we have conducted many programs for BCCI. So we can do this. Thank you.
Madam, we also have programs for the ITI level students, the diploma level students, and also the engineering level students. So we can cater right from the lowest level to the highest level. And we've been doing that in the past.
Any other questions from the participant? If they want to ask, I think they can write it on the chat window. Or maybe that can be taken up later on if in case we can collect these questions and, you know, send it to Siemens and take it forward. So I think we'll close the session, and I would thank everyone over here with the patient listening, and I think there is some takeaways that can be taken up. We would request the organizations to get in touch with us. And is there anything that, you know, there's a query with respect to any customization program or the existing programs, do get in touch with CGSC, as well as we'll connect you with the Siemens. And thank you so much, Mr. Paresh Banchal, to organize this event and helping us to connect with all the audiences. I also thank Manav to be part of this and take us through their own journey. And I'm thankful to my team, colleague Harsh, also to organize this event. And let's, you know, work out on more webinars. And take out something collective outcomes of these workshops. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you, madam. And on behalf of Siemens, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity. And after this COVID problem subsides, you are all welcome to visit us, see us, because ultimately seeing is believing. So you are all welcome to see our safety park and SeaTrust facilities.
Definitely, we'll work out on that. And I would also request the participants, in case if there's any query with respect to workforce that they require in this COVID-19 situation, we can help you out. We can also help you out in hiring apprenticeship and also upgrading the skills of existing employees as per our qualification pack, which we have already shown it to you. You can also visit our website www.cgsc.in to know more about details about our organization. So thank you everyone. And
thank you. I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
हो सर 8 रुपये कुठे